Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Election Commission announces poll dates for Tripura, Meghalaya and Nagaland. All three 60-member houses to vote in single phase in February. Model Code of Conduct takes effect today. The 25th GST Council meeting concludes in Delhi. Announcements expected on tax concessions on common use items and services, including household goods, agriculture products, housing sector inputs like cement and steel. On the last leg of his 6-day visit, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets top Indian CEOs and addresses business summit. Pays tributes to 26/11 attack victims in Mumbai. And Supreme Court gives go-ahead for the release of Sanjay Leela Bansali's film Padmavati. Stays the ban order and notification issued by 4 states: Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat. Well, the Election Commission of India has announced single-phase elections to assemblies of Tripura, Meghalaya and Nagaland in February. All 3 states have 60-member houses. They are among the 8 states that are going to polls this year. The Election Commission announcement brings into effect the Model Code of Conduct in all 3 states from today.
I will be faster. I will not take your
The Election Commission of India announced the polling schedule for 3 northeastern states, Tripura, Meghalaya and Nagaland on Thursday. The 3 northeast states are among 8 in the country that will go to polls in 2018. Tripura will vote on February 18th, while Meghalaya and Nagaland will go to polls on February 27th.
First round Tripura elections would be held. Gazette notification 24 January 18. Last date of nomination 31st January. Scrutiny would be on 1st February 18. Withdrawal of candidate is up to 3rd February 18, Saturday. And date of polling would be 18th February 2018. Meghalaya and Nagaland, Gazette notification would be issued on 31st January, that is Wednesday. Last date for nominations is 7th February 18, which is also Wednesday. Scrutiny would take place on 8th February, that is Thursday. And last date for withdrawal of candidature would be 12th February 18, which would be Monday. The date of polling would be 27th February, that is Tuesday.
The Election Commission also said that VVPAT will be used along with EVMs during polling in all 3 states. With the announcement of poll dates, the Model Code of Conduct has also come into force.
In order to facilitate and ensure secrecy of voting, the height of the voting compartment has been increased from 24 inch to 30 inch. That was done in earlier elections also. We are continuing with these 3 state elections also. As far as electronic voting machines are concerned and voter verifiable paper audit trail, that is VVPAT, the VVPAT, EVMs and VVPAT shall be used in all the polling stations in the 3 states of Meghalaya, Nagaland and Tripura.
The counting of votes for all the 3 states will be held on 3rd March. The tenure of Meghalaya, Nagaland and Tripura assemblies expire on March 6th, March 13 and March 14, 2018 respectively. All 3 states have 60 seats each. The Meghalaya Assembly is currently led by the Congress, which won 29 seats in the previous election. Tripura, on the other hand, is under a CPIM government. The Naga People's Front is at the helm of the 60-member Nagaland Assembly. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, moving on to the other big news of the day now. On the last leg of his 6-day visit to India, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had a packed schedule in Mumbai. The day started with a power breakfast with Netanyahu meeting top Indian CEOs and head honchos. It was followed by the India-Israel Business Summit, where Netanyahu emphasized that his country's partnership with India was doing wonders. Netanyahu also laid a wreath at the memorial of 26/11 terror attack victims at Taj Hotel in Mumbai and met 11-year-old Moshe Holzberg, whose parents were killed in the 2008 attack. Here are the details.
On the last leg of his 6-day India visit, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in Mumbai on Thursday. His day began with a power breakfast with the country's top business leaders at the iconic Taj Hotel. Top industrialists, businessmen and top banking officials including Ajay Piramal, Rahul Bajaj, Adi Godrej, Harsh Goenka, Anand Mahindra, Dilip Sangvi, Ashok Hinduja, Atul Punj and Chanda Kochar were in attendance. During his interaction with the business leaders, Netanyahu said the partnership between Israel and India was doing wonders.
I will say beyond that, the partnership between Israel and India is wondrous.
After the breakfast, Netanyahu addressed the India-Israel Business Summit at the same venue, saying that India and Israel are two innovation nations that must come together to seize the future. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis also attended the summit.
The future belongs to those who innovate. Israel is an innovation nation. India is an innovation nation. We must be innovation nations to seize the future. If we don't, we'll fall back. If we do, we'll define the future. We can do so better together.
Netanyahu also hailed the strong bond that he shares with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. After the summit, Fadnavis hosted a lunch for Netanyahu and his delegation, which was followed by a wreath-laying ceremony at the 26/11 Memorial at Marine Lines and paid tribute to the victims of the 2008 terror attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu then visited Nariman House, where he met 11-year-old Moshe Holzberg, the then 2-year-old who survived the 26/11 attack at Hobart House in South Mumbai. His parents were gunned down on that fateful night. In the evening, Netanyahu met around 30 members of the Jewish community at the Taj Hotel. There are about 5,000 Jews in India, most of who call Mumbai their home. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Indian shares posted a record closing high on Thursday as a rally in global markets boosted sentiment. The benchmark Sensex rose over 178 points to hit new closing high of 35,260.29, while the broader NSE Nifty ended above the 10,800 for the first time. Markets got a boost on reports that the government is considering raising the foreign investment ceiling in private banks to 100% and in public sector lenders to 49%. Sustained FII inflows and fresh spell of buying by domestic institutional investors has kept the momentum going for the Indian shares. Besides, optimism over encouraging Q3 earnings by some more companies and upcoming budget too bolstered trading sentiments, accelerating buying by investors. Foreign investors have been supporting the ongoing rally by pumping sizable funds into domestic markets. A day-long 25th GST Council meet started in the national capital this morning. It comes amid a dip in GST revenues collection in the last 2 months. The council is expected to announce tax concessions and reduction of tax rates on common man items and services, including household goods, agriculture, housing sector inputs such as cement and steel. It is also likely to discuss inclusion of real estate under GST and announce the rollout date for the same. The council may also announce simplification of return filing process. The 3 return forms, GST-R1, GST-R2 and GST-R3, may be clubbed into a single form for easier return filing. At the last GST Council meeting in December, the e-way bill rollout was decided for February 1st. The council may iron out issues in e-way bill mechanism for smooth implementation of e-bills from next month. Well, the Supreme Court has given a green signal for the all-India release of Sanjay Leela Bhansali's film Padmavati. The Supreme Court stayed the notification and order issued by the 4 states Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat, banning the release of the film. The Apex Court also restrained the rest of the states from issuing any such order. In its interim order, the court said all states are constitutionally obliged to maintain law and order and prevent any untoward incident during the screening of the film after permission has been granted by the Central Board of Film Certification. On Wednesday, a petition was filed in the Supreme Court challenging the ban imposed on the film. The movie is slated for a January 25th release.
दोनों तरह की परिस्थितियां हैं। कुछ लोगों को इसको लेके अभी भी आक्रोश है। दूसरी तरफ माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने कोई निर्णय किया है तो निर्णय की समीक्षा हम लोग करेंगे, जो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की स्थिति है उसकी समीक्षा करेंगे और उसके बाद जो उचित निर्णय है वो सरकार करेगी।
Well, moving on to some other news now. In the latest series of incidents in Kashmir, a border security force Jawan was martyred as Pakistani troops violated the ceasefire by firing and shelling along the international border in Rspura sector on Wednesday. A 17-year-old girl was also killed in a ceasefire violation by the Pakistani troops. According to the BSF, the firing and shelling on the border outposts and civilian areas in Rspura sector started at 9 p.m. on Wednesday. 3 civilians have also suffered injuries in the heavy firing and mortar shelling by Pakistan. Meanwhile, the Director General of Border Security Force, KK Sharma, has described the situation along the line of control and international border in Jammu and Kashmir as tense. He said that they retaliated effectively to Pakistan's ceasefire violation in Rspura sector.
स्थिति टेंस कह सकते हैं। एलसी पे भी लगातार सीज फायर वायलेशन हो रही है और अब आईबी पे भी पाकिस्तान की ओर से सीज फायर वायलेशन की गई है, तो हम इसे टेंस स्थिति कह सकते हैं। वी हैव ऑलरेडी टेकन स्पेशल मेजर्स, वी आर ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर, उनकी तरफ से इन्फिल्ट्रेशन की कोशिश होती है, उसको रोकने के लिए हम पूरी तरह से तैयार हैं। उनकी तरफ से सीज फायर वायलेशन होती है, वी आर रेडी, मोर देन प्रिपेयर्ड टू मीट एनी चैलेंज।
Well, the NIA filed a charge sheet against 12 individuals, including Lashkar-e-Toiba chief Hafiz Saeed and Hizbul Mujahideen head Syed Salahuddin on Thursday. The charge sheet relates to alleged funding of terror and secessionist activities in Jammu and Kashmir. The NIA also named Syed Ali Shah Gilani and Bashir Ahmad Bhatt, businessman Zahrur Ahmad Shah Watali and photojournalist Kamran Yusuf, who has been identified along with Javed Ahmad Bhatt as a stone pelter. It also charged Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin along with 10 others for criminal conspiracy, sedition and under stringent provisions of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The NIA filed a 12,794-page charge sheet along with the annexure before a designated court in the national capital and sought permission to continue its probe related to terror funding in the state. According to the NIA, the case was registered on May 30, 2017 and the first arrest made on July 24th last year. The agency said that during the course of the investigation, its teams conducted searches at over 60 locations spread across Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana and Delhi and seized over 950 incriminating documents and over 600 electronic devices. Over 300 witnesses were examined during the probe. The agency has recorded confessional statements on the flow of money, especially from Pakistan, from 4 people accused in a case related to the funding of terror activities in Kashmir. Well, in other news now, India today successfully test-fired its nuclear-capable surface-to-surface ballistic missile Agni 5 from a test range off the Odisha coast. It is the most advanced missile in the Agni series with a strike range of over 5,000 kilometers. The test flight has further boosted indigenous missile capabilities and deterrent strength of the country. All radars, tracking systems and range stations monitored the flight performance. The missile reportedly travelled for 19 minutes and covered 4,900 kilometers. The sleek missile was test-fired from a canister launcher mounted on a mobile platform at about 9:54 a.m. from the number 4 launch pad of the integrated test range in Abdul Kalam Island. Agni 5 is the most advanced missile in the Agni series with new technologies incorporated in it in terms of navigation and guidance, warhead and engine. It also has advantages of a higher reliability, longer shelf life, less maintenance and enhanced mobility. Meanwhile, President Ramnath Kovind hailed the achievement on Twitter. Well, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today exhorted India's exporters to focus on new markets and new products. Addressing the exporters after conferring the FIEO Exports Excellence Awards of 2018 in Chennai, Vice President Naidu said that they must pay attention to products which show higher growth in global trade, including electric, electronic and telecommunication equipment. The Vice President added that the government's Make in initiative to support India's manufacturing sector, together with its focus on infrastructure growth and multiple initiatives for boosting domestic demand, will further strengthen the economy. He further said policy decisions like demonetization and GST will have a positive impact on the economy in the coming years, and that the government was ready to address problems faced by exporters.
Friends, what I am suggesting is that we must find out what are the other avenues of exports where our imports have become less and exports become more. We should think on those. There is no dearth of knowledge and talent here. The Make in India, the Skill India, the Digital India, the Clean India, VCDC program, or the Stand Up, or the Startup. All these programs are aimed at releasing the forces of growth, unleashing the forces of the growth among the people.
Well, here's a roundup of some other news from across the country in Nationwide. Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has accepted the resignation of Power and Irrigation Minister Rana Gurjeet Singh from the State's Council of Ministers. The Chief Minister confirmed the news after meeting Congress President Rahul Gandhi in the national capital on Thursday. The Chief Minister will now forward Rana Gurjeet's resignation to the Governor. The principal of a school in Lucknow, where a Class 1 boy was allegedly attacked with a sharp-edged weapon by a girl who was 6 years his senior, has been arrested. Police says that the suspect wanted a holiday in the event of a schoolmate's death. Meanwhile, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath visited the trauma center in Lucknow to inquire about the well-being of the 6-year-old child. The boy is stated to be out of danger. The incident took place on January 16th. Karti Chidambaram appeared before the Enforcement Directorate in connection with its probe into the INX Media money laundering case. Karti was summoned by the agency to appear before the investigating officer of the case on Thursday. His authorized representative had met the IO on the last 2 occasions, with the Central Probe Agency subsequently asking him to appear in person. The Central Probe Agency had registered a case against him and others in May last year. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
See, we are thinking of using all domains of space technology in all aspects of agriculture. We can use experts sitting here and giving training to farmers or solving the farmers' problem through satellite communication. That will be a big achievement. In Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, it has been mandated that all the crop cutting data experiments should be collected using smartphones. So your time concept is gone, the delay is gone, and you are getting a digital data. You can do host of analysis on that. That's a big achievement.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Shibendu Shankar Ray, Director, Mahalanobis National Crop Center, New Delhi, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, 52 Uzbek nationals were charred to death after a bus caught fire in northwestern Kazakhstan. The accident took place in the Irgiz district of Aktobe region while the bus was travelling along the Samara-Shymkent route. Only 5 people managed to survive. The route is frequently used by Uzbek migrant labourers travelling to construction sites in Russia. It is unclear what caused the blaze. Officials said that the blaze spread very quickly through the bus and Icarus model made in Hungary. The buses are still used in former Soviet nations and are often decades old. Well, let's now bring you an up-to-date from some of the other news from around the world in Global Buzz. Myanmar has asked Bangladesh to extradite over 1,300 Rohingyas suspected of taking part in a rebel assault against government checkpoints in Rakhine State last August. The incident led to a violent military operation in Myanmar against the alleged insurgents, forcing over 6 lakh people, mostly Muslim Rohingya minority, to flee to neighbouring Bangladesh. British lawmakers voted in favour of the government's legislative blueprint for Brexit, marking a victory for Prime Minister Theresa May over political opponents who want a softer approach to leaving the European Union. The European Union bill was approved by a 324 to 295 vote in the 650-seat lower house. The bill repeals the 1972 law that made Britain a member of the EU and transfers EU laws into British ones. US President Donald Trump has said Russia is helping North Korea to get supplies in violation of international sanctions and that Pyongyang is getting closer every day to being able to deliver a long-range missile to the United States. Trump said that Russia is not helping them at all with what China is helping them. Trump also cast doubts on whether talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will be useful and praised China for its efforts to restrict oil and coal supplies to the north. Well, moving on to news from the Australian Open now. Unseeded Indian pair of Leander Paes and Purav Rajya started their Australian Open campaign on a winning note in the men's doubles event. Paes and Rajya defeated Georgian-Austrian pair of Nichols Barsi-Lash, Willi and Andreas Heider-Moir 6-2, 6-3 to enter the second round. The Indian duo will next face Britain's Jamie Murray and Brazil's Bruno Soares. While another Indian in the fray, Rohan Bopanna, also kicked off his campaign with a win along with his French partner Edouard Roger Vasselin. Bopanna and Roger Vasselin defeated American-Canadian duo of Ryan Harrison and Vasek Pospisil 6-2, 7-6. Meanwhile, in the men's singles draw, Julien Benneteau of France shattered David Goffin's Australian Open hopes after defeating him 1-6, 7-6, 6-1, 7-6. Meanwhile, in another match, six-times champion Novak Djokovic of Serbia beat Gael Monfils of France 4-6, 6-3, 6-1, 6-3 to reach the third round. In the women's singles draw, third-seeded Garbine Muguruza of Spain lost to her Taiwanese rival She Su Wei 7-6, 6-4 in the second round. In another match, Russia's Maria Sharapova defeated her Latvian opponent Anastasia Sevastova 6-1, 7-6 to reach the third round. Well, that's it on this newscast. Do stay tuned for the big picture coming up on the other side of the short break.